Hello everybody, thanks for coming today. I'm Alexa, you already introduced me, thank you for that. And I want to just tell you real quick that this is super exciting for me because I remember 2 years ago I was at this conference, CARE conference in Vienna, and I listened to a talk with the exact same title, Early Intervention Network. And by then I didn't know that it would be my now colleagues presenting this talk. So it's exciting to just stand here now and spread the message because I was listening to it 2 years ago and I was like, this is so important, I just want to spread that message too. So here I am, and yeah, that's just really cool. So, yeah. Another story before we start going into the depth of what is the message actually. So the message, I'm just going to take that away already, is that children or engaging with children is super important. And why, I want to tell you. But before that, I just want to show you a picture that I found on the internet, some random chick, actually that's me, my dad sent that to me a few days ago. I was like, send me a funny picture, and that's what he gave me. So this is me, probably like 3 years old, and I was going for like a walk with my dad, and like I grew up in the village, and there was a butcher shop, and he was like, I'm just gonna go in to buy some sausage, or probably didn't say that, but something like that, and I was like, I wanna play outside, so I waited outside. And just as it happened, there was a big delivery, you probably don't call it like that, but there was a big pig being brought into the butcher shop. And I obviously didn't like what I was seeing. So my dad was watching me from inside like he was buying the sausage, and he saw me outside on the ground. I was devastated. So he came outside and was like, what's wrong? And I'm like, this. Like, what is happening? Why is this pig there, and what's going on? We know what's going on, but I didn't. So he made that long sigh like all parents do when they're about to tell their kids the truth. He was like, well, so he told me. And from that moment on, I decided to not engage in that. I was like, that's wrong. I'm not gonna do that. So, funny thing about that is, I was 3 years old, and I don't think that's so fascinating because it's me in particular, but more because I was this tiny little human being that decided to do something that nobody told me was right. The opposite. Everybody was like, well, that's just how it is, right? And I decided to go against all odds. My family, my friends, kindergarten caretakers, doctors, you know, they all told me, or my mom probably, that's not the right way. Well, I did it anyways, and I stuck with it, being a vegetarian at least, when I was younger. And there's, oh, I can do that, right? And there's more stories like that. Probably some of you have seen these videos of these kids. Some heads are nodding, you know, like that little guy, and he's like, I'm not gonna eat this octopus. And this little girl like, that is so wrong, I will not do that. So these children, they're just deciding to just go with it, you know? They have a strong moral compass, although nobody told them that that's it. So where does it come from? I think it's really powerful to just look at it. And if we go even one step higher, we see that there's more children who are going like even a step forward. Do you know Jax Butler? Just a show of hands, who knows her? A few hands, okay. So I had the chance to meet her during the Animal Rights Conference in Washington a few weeks ago. And Jax is this, she's a big animal rights activist. And she's, I think, 12 years old by now. But like 2 years ago when she was 10, she gave a TED Talk. Like, what? I wouldn't even have the guts to do that now, right? So, yeah, she did that. And she also, within the $1 Million Vegan campaign, she asked the Pope, to go vegan for Lent. So she's an activist, you know, and she was a child that discovered that that's just what she thinks is right, to go vegan and to be an advocate, and she convinced her family of it. So we see, or we hear a lot of stories like that with just, you know, these young people who just go with it because they know that's the right thing, or they feel it somewhere deep here, deep inside their heart. So yeah, I guess that's the message that I was talking about earlier, that I was listening to 2 years ago. It's just that when we see all of that, we see that children have such a strong moral compass, and what we're doing right now is we're trying to, or most activism is directed at trying to change the behaviors and attitudes that adults have, when maybe we can help create healthy attitudes and behavior from an early stage on, which means engaging with children. So there's this quote by Henry Thoreau saying, "There is 1,000 hacking at the branches of evil to one who is striking at the root." And the root would be working with children directly and preventing these attitudes that we're trying so hard to get rid of or to change, so to say, without it sounding too harsh. You can also use the metaphor of, which I kind of like, it's like fighting an oil spill. So what we're seeing right now, what is happening, it's like there's oil everywhere. It's like this mess of, all these animals being mistreated, and we're just trying to wipe it off, and just make it a little bit more cleaner. And we could also plug the oil spill, like plug the source of the oil spill so that there's not more coming out. So that would be working with children, I guess. So yeah, that's a nice message, right? Let's just go out into the world and be like, I'm going to work with children now. Nah, it's not how are we actually going to do it. So how are we going to do it? That's what I'm here for, I guess, just to share a few ideas with you. Obviously, just a little disclaimer, maybe there's not one right way. I guess we probably all know that. You have to find your own right way and then go with that, depending on the resources you have. But I like to look at it as, when we talk of how we can engage, sort of like as in two big clusters or two big boxes. We love to put things in boxes, right? So I did that, and I figured, okay, if we want to engage with children, there's these two main categories. So there's humane education. Actually, by definition, for those of you who don't know, I've written down somewhere here. There it is. So, humane education is education that nurtures compassion and respect for all living beings. So it's really broad. So we can just go out and do like the straightforward activism, so to say, appeal to children and their moral compass. And then there's also the other form, which is more like a, how do you say, like undercover activism, which is to create a veg-friendly environment for children to grow up in. So they just grow up by having plant-based lifestyle be cool, and fun, and then they just engage in it, and then they realize, wait, there's actually more to it. So this is just in general how I like to cluster it up into two big categories. And I want to show you a little bit more about what both of these actually mean. Because again, you're not going to go out and be like, okay, I'm going to do humane education now. How? So I just have this little graph that I'm going to show you. You have like a minute to just look through it. So, did you understand it? I guess the gist of that is that we're not gonna, I'm not gonna be able to tell you in these 40 minutes how exactly it works to do every kind of approach, because it's so complex and there's a gazillion ways of doing outreach with children. Nevertheless, I want to go into the one category of creating a veg-friendly environment a little bit more into depth, because that's what we do at ProVeg or with the school program that I work on. And I just now realized I didn't even tell you what I'm doing, or you did, but I mean, international coordinating can do everything. So basically my job is to look at all the different forms that we're being active in, because that's what we found to be effective, and then I try to look at how other organizations or the countries that we're also active in, ProVeg is, how we can put that into the countries and get it out there. So my job is actually to figure out which is the most effective way and how can you do it. So if you want to know more about that, just let me know and I can lead you through it. So, oops, I missed one? No, I didn't. Okay, so I already led you through that. I want to just tell you a little bit more about ProVeg for those of you who don't know, before I tell you about what exactly it is we do at the school program. So ProVeg is an international food awareness organization, and we're currently active in 8 countries, and I think it's growing. And we have a mission. Our mission, what we call 50 by 40, is the global reduction of animal products worldwide by 50% up until the year 2040. Big goal. And our vision, basically why we're working on that goal is because we dream or we envision a world where all people or everybody chooses delicious and healthy food that is good for all. So all humans, all animals, and the planet. And how do we actually do it? So we do a lot of different forms of outreach, so to say, or engagement. I'm just going to read this. ProVeg collaborates effectively with governments, with public institutions, but also with private companies or with medical professionals and the public to overall help to transform the world to more plant-based option and a more plant-based lifestyle. And we always say that there's 5 reasons to be pro-veg. It's like the biggest clusters of why we're vegan. We're vegan for the health, for the animals, for the environment, justice, and taste. So, just go back once more. I'm going to tell you more about that in a little bit, but these pros, they actually enable us a lot to work with everybody because you can just adapt it. You can just, you know, when you work with pupils, some of them might not want to hear about how being vegan is so good for the environment, but they want to know, like, that tastes good, right? So we focus on that. We use pro taste, and it's just like it's a wiggle room that you have, just playing around with that. And yes, I am now going to talk about creating a veg-friendly environment and how we're actually trying to do that at ProVeg within the ProVeg School Programme. So again, creating a veg-friendly environment could mean everything. It could mean to try to get awesome products out there that are designed for children, or I'm now working with parents directly, but we found for ourselves that we want to engage with schools because that's what we found to be the most effective for now. And that is within the school program that we call Delicious Food for All. Sounds so positive, doesn't it? It is. So again, we just love to do the whole mission, vision thing at ProVeg. And our mission with the school program is that we want to ensure a daily, nutritious, and healthy and delicious plant-based option in what's written there, major public institutions, but we focus on schools. So we just want to make sure that every kid has the option to have a vegan awesome meal every day. And the vision for that is a world where the plant-based option is just the default. So meaning that you just go into school and that's just what you get. You have to ask for the meat-based menu or option. And what we do actually is many different things again. But for example, we engage with pupils. You see me like looking super happily into that grocery bag and like, yummy tofu. So we cook with children, or I always say children, but it's more like children and adolescents, so up to 18 years really. And why we decide to do the cooking part is because it's so active and nobody's against cooking, especially when it takes the pupils out of the classroom. Everybody's super excited about that. You know how they are with movies and stuff, so they love that. And we also try to get some input in there by giving a talk. For example, you see me on the right side trying to like convince 300 pupils that is fun, you know, woo. That was hard, it was really loud, not like you guys. But yeah, that's what we do, or one of the elements that we do. And we also work on another level, which is the caterers. So if you want to change school meals, that means there's a lot of different stakeholders. So one huge element are the people who actually produce the food. Try to get them on board. So what we do, on the left side, for example, this is at our incubator space in Berlin. We give talks. We invite the spokespeople from catering companies over to our place to attend like an information event where they can learn about how to implement plant-based options in their canteen kitchen. Or on the right, again, trainings. And you know, they're so proud of the snacks they created, and it's probably the first time that they learned how to actually prepare plant-based foods. So that's another element we do. And we do stuff that goes more beyond the pupils and the caterers, so beyond the individual level, which is through, for example, campaigns. We have one campaign here, which was, or is School Plates. It's from ProVeg UK. And the aim is to reach out to school councils, like on a broader level, and get them on board and be like, these are five small steps you can take to get more plants into a school, and why that's amazing. So jump on board. If you want to know more about that, it's a great campaign, so just let me know. And also another thing we did is, for example, this Hin and Veg. That was a campaign with Sodexo, that is one of the biggest school caterers in the world. And we engaged with them in the form that we had 1 week, like an action week, where there was vegan meals given out in schools. And yeah, we worked with them on creating the recipes, and that was a lot of fun. And a lot of meals being vegan during that week. So, to wrap it up a little bit, what is the strategy behind the school program in general? Like I already said, it's to include all the different stakeholders, because there's so many. So if you want to tackle the school meal system, try to come from all the angles that are there. Like, who's the decision maker? Many times it's caterers, like I already told you, or it's on a political level. Like in Germany, the politicians, they make for a lot of rules on what exactly the school meal has to be like. So does it have to be vegetables every day, or meat, and all of that. So we try to work with them and be like, it could be vegetables every day, you know? And lobbies, again, like the German Nutrition Association, they're already actually saying something like, but they're saying that every pupil should have the chance to get a vegetarian meal every day. So that is huge. So what we do is we approach them, we're like, why not make it like that the vegetarian meal can also be created vegan, so that the cheese is optional or something. And then we're also like, we're 1 foot in, right? And then obviously the pupils with the cooking trainings. And then there's like, that's sort of like outside, because we haven't done much on that terms yet. It's important, but it's also really hard. So we probably always know parents and the teachers, how to actually reach out to the parents. Material, giving talks. We're not doing that yet, but we're into this, figuring that out. And talked about the 5 pros, right? So the strategy also is that we can just adapt our intentions. So with caterers, for example, that's not even a pro on there, but we will use many times the argument of, costs less, so then they're on board, obviously. So just try to like adapt that and be strategic about that. And we'll just look at my notes for a little bit. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so basically, to finish with the school program a little bit, just want to share some successes with you. I'm really proud on the stuff that we already achieved, which is, for example, the UN Award. We won the award Momentum for Change last year in the summer with the Plant-Powered Pupils program. That's a program where we go into the schools and we cook vegan love with the children. And yeah, that was rewarded because it's for planetary health. That's what they awarded it for. That it provides planetary health. Provides, no. Oh, you know what I mean, I think. And that led to another great success, which was Harvard, like as in the University of Harvard, reaching out to us and being like, that's kind of cool, we want to write a case study about that. So that was exciting too. And with Sodexo, like the 1 week campaign that we did, where we just had one vegan option put out there, they reached out to us and they were like, we're thinking about doing more of that, like, can you help us out? Like, as in, help us out while creating the recipes, or just counseling on a basic level. And why would we say no to that? So we jumped into a 20-month cooperation with Sodexo, where we helped them put more plants on their menus. So, why are we actually doing that? So, I mean, you saw the success. It's big, it sounds cool. We now know that working with children is important, but why are we not going on a different level? Why exactly are we doing schools? Why did we decide that school is the way to go for us? like that dog, why is he laying on the table? But okay, that's a different question, I guess. Why schools? Just in general, when we look at putting more plant-based options in school, we see that it has a potential to create big change. And why is that? Because school lunches, when you look at it, play a big role in the life of children. So they're in school every day. They eat every day in schools, at least in Germany they do. I know that differs from country to country. Some countries don't even have school lunches, so it's a little different, but in Germany that's the way it is. And in Germany they make, for example, for 3.3 million meals a year alone. So that's a lot. Or is it? With these numbers I'm always like, 3.3 million, I'm not going to be able to comprehend that. So I want to put it into a relation a little bit. What does that even mean? And we're just talking about Germany. So let's look at one person, like the average person, at least me. I eat 3 meals a day, like even maybe 4 sometimes, but all right. So say I eat 3 meals a day and I start from 25, like when I'm 25, to 80 years being vegan. That makes, or not being vegan, but that makes 60,225 meals a year. So yeah, exactly, over 55 years. I'm messing up my numbers here, I'm sorry. So let's just take that number, that's big, but okay. If we compare that and we say that we want to work with the school and try to get them on board by just having, say, 1 vegan option a week with the whole, like every student eats that 1 vegan option a week, that would make just 3,700 meals per year. I mean, compare that to the 1,000 meals per year when just an individual changes their meals. And now if you scale it up to 55 years, say your school does that for 55 years, you will get 203,500 meals that are being changed, that are not having the animal product in them. So that's what? 3 times as much? No. Well, I'm not even trying to like calculate that, but we see that doing outreach or trying to convince one person to go vegan has potential to change 60,000 meals, whereas just approaching one school just as easy here, right? I mean, it's kind of hard, but still it has potential for so much more. So to wrap that up is just my message here is to just look at the power that working on an institutional level can have. If we look at it, the impact, no, I think I got that number wrong, but the impact is it's just higher, let's just go with that. And you basically have the equal effort. So if you go and you try to do advocacy with one person, you have the same effort like reaching out to a spokesperson from a city council or a school or a teacher, you know? It's one conversation that you're gonna have, and there's just a different outcome there. And again, you can just use various approaches. You can do that with individuals as well, but with schools, you're more likely to know what they are aiming for, so you can adapt that. So in general, there's just a lot of power in one conversation, in one small change. Like I mentioned, just having 1 vegan option a week, you know, not 5, will give you a lot of power. So, yeah, this picture. I don't know what your mind is doing right now. Maybe it's doing something like this, or maybe not, I don't know. But, I mean, these are a lot of numbers, and also, like always, when you create a presentation, you never know how it comes across. So I thought maybe some of you are like, warm. Like, I'm really warm right now. But, well, if you're like that, if you're overwhelmed right now, I have bad news for you. Because I have another topic to talk about, just one more. This is probably the most exciting thing for me right now, because it's a project that I've been working on for a year, and it's actually the Early Intervention Network. We just changed names. We changed names from intervention to action, because, I don't know, how do you feel about intervention? I like the word, but I see like a head nodding, but yeah, I feel like it's also like catastrophe intervention or something like this. It has like this negative ring to it. So it took us a month to decide, what are we gonna go with? We're going with early action. Yeah, so basically, why am I putting this up right now is that we now know that, or maybe I know that reaching out to children is important. We got that. And we got a powerful way of doing that, right? Going into schools or institutions in general. So, great, but what are we gonna do with that? Are we just gonna go home with that knowledge to ourselves? Like, am I just gonna work on my project and be like, it's my project, you know? And where's the impact? We wanna have the most impact as a movement, or we're trying to. And we've been working so hard on this, trying to like come up with a way to go out there and to share what we knew, and how can we do that? I think this is a general thing in the movement, that so many people are always reinventing the wheel over and over again. So this is what we're trying to prevent with the Early Action Network. What is it actually? Let's see. It originated out of this idea that we just saw so many things happening. The green circles are things that we've seen internally with ProVeg. So we saw that there have been a lot of requests coming our way, like, how do you do this kind of outreach? Like, can you help me out with that? Can you counsel me? And we won this UN award. So there's been a lot of public awareness on this activity in general. And we also have a grant program at ProVeg, and the applicants, they were really interested as well. So I was working with my role constantly on creating guidelines and reaching out to everybody on an individual level, where I thought, you know, that's kind of like, my work is just doubling. You know, can I just design like one guideline and give it out to everybody? I could, but well, we've come up with another idea. And another synergy that happened is that we just saw so many other things outside of ProVeg happening. So probably some of you heard of Fridays for Future, which is the movement of pupils going out onto the street demonstrating against climate change. So this just means there's something happening within like the younger generation already about trying to create change. So we should pick up on that, and we should work with that and enable this whole process to have the biggest outcome, the biggest success, so to say. And then there's bills passing, like in Portugal or in California, that are saying like, okay, schools should have the opportunity to, or should provide pupils with a plant-based meal every day. So lots of things. And that's when we decided, okay, let's get this Early Action Network going. What is it actually? We like to use network, but you could actually say it's like an alliance or a coalition of basically everybody coming together that is currently doing any kind of form of outreach with the younger generation. So if you're doing humane education, if you're working with schools, with kindergartens, if you have a book club or a farm sanctuary where you invite children, you know, you're doing early action or early intervention activism. And then this network is for you, so you're a practitioner. And the aim of the network is to support you and to professionalize the whole movement. Whatever it is you might need, you will get it from the network. So the basis for us was to create the network in order to identify opportunities. Opportunities where, you know, we see an organization in, say, Czech Republic trying to build a program, and we see the same in Portugal. We try to like get them together and connect them. We want to help you develop and coordinate your projects and grow the overall public and financial support, so get the message out there. And we want to motivate you or other organizations that maybe haven't picked up on a school outreach or child, school, whatever it might be, program. We want to show you that this is how it could be done and this is why it's effective. And I mean, I already mentioned it, but who is actually part of the network? Like, could you just become a part of it? Could you just sign up? Yeah, so that was cute. So who's a part? It's just basically our members. They are everybody, like I already said. So everybody coming from an organization or all organizations, groups or individuals that are just doing the outreach. So everybody who wants to, say, share the resources that they already have, or improve the activities that they're doing right now, or maybe even start their own project. you can become a member. And by being a member, you form the basis of the network. Simple as that. So the basis is the members and also the partners. That's like divided into two groups, so to say, but everybody can become a partner. With the partners, it's basically the way that they engage just a little bit more. So the partners are part of a working group within the network. And this working group is trying to find the best methods and actually create the content that's being displayed in the network. And this is exciting because it's also kind of new that this working group is a shared working group with 50 by 40. You can reach out to that guy over there if you want to know more. No. But yeah, it's really exciting. So everybody that becomes a partner automatically also becomes a partner of 50 by 40. And what does this network now actually do? We've heard things like improve your project or stuff like that, but the core elements are actually that you will have access to a data bank. So this data bank consists basically of everything that you could possibly need. So say all the resources or information like guidelines and templates on how to do what kind of outreach, and research or important contacts that you could need for your region. And then we also have a platform. So if you already have a project or you want to start one, you can get on the platform and you can ask questions. You can connect to people directly. And we will have the option for funding. So if you need help getting your project, lifting it up from the ground, then you can reach out, you can apply for a fund, and in order to get that helping you for getting off the ground. So our services, like I already said this, but just to have like on one slide all together, are, for example, step-by-step guidelines on how to get active, best practices, and across like various areas. You will get assistance with basic strategy development and templates for your impact evaluation to make sure that you have a good impact. That's always a hard one. And you will get direct mentorship on request. So there's this quote that I know David likes to use also. If you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. African proverb. The network, where are we at right now? You won't find us yet on the internet. We're still building the website. It's a long process because this just sounded like a lot, right? It sounded like the dream. Like I know I heard about it 2 years ago and I was like, amazing, where is it? Well, it takes a long time, but we're getting there. And I encourage all of you to become a part if you're interested in it. And that's the Early Action Network. So you can become a part now. So yeah. What just happened? No, like, you will talk and talk and talk, or I will, that's what I feel like right now, and I'm like, where's my silver lining? What's your takeaway? So I just try to like put it together neatly. Basically it's 5 takeaways. I probably would just like to use 5 with everything, or like 5 pros, you know? 5 everything, it's a nice number. So what are your takeaways? I guess what you heard in the beginning, like from my story and the story from many others, that children play an essential role in achieving our common goal. They are the next generation of decision makers, so we should pick them up, or we could pick them up, but I'm not saying we should do anything. So we can do that, but then again, try to remember that every form of activism is important. And even if you decide not to, or say you decide not to go with children, that's good. The oil still needs to be wiped away, right? We cannot all try to plug the oil source. And even if you decide to go with children, if you don't want to go to schools, that's fine too. We need us or you on all fronts of like the world. So we just see that there's just a high effectiveness on the institutional level. So if you feel like that resonated with you and you could actually see yourself going into schools and cooking or talking with like important school council people, whatever, then go for it. And like I'm saying, it's not like one way or another. So if you're saying, you know, I like working with schools, but I don't want to lose the humane education aspect. So I don't want to go to schools and just be talking about veganism. I want to include also why animals feel, for example, it can be combined. So like you saw that what we do is we don't just cook, we also give like a presentation where we inform the children. So that's like the mixture of education and just outreach, so to say, or engagement. And in general, I would always say or advise you to not shy away from taking small steps. So sometimes we will get to that state of mind where I just want animal liberation right now, right? We all know that. And I think in that, when it comes to that, just remind yourself that one small step, like I mentioned, just asking a school to do like meat-free Mondays, can be so incredible effective. And maybe even like lowering it down, just having small asks can be having such a big impact and a big difference. And the last one is so important. This is what we're trying to do for the Early Action Network, is to always look out for synergies. Look out for what is happening right now and how can I learn from another organization? Maybe it's already been done before, or maybe I can help somebody out, because there is so much happening. So just try to connect and take everything that's already been done. And like, I don't know, Jan's talk yesterday, they were saying, you know, don't be afraid to steal ideas or, you know, to take them. So that's okay, copy. That's it, I think. Thank you. One more thing I didn't think I had the time for, but I just wanted to, oh yeah, that's me. But just wanted to let you know that I have like a whole like 20 slides of like this ABC of getting active. So if somebody wants to know like how can I start, like if you're motivated and you're like I want to do something, then just let me know, because there's like tons of millions of things that you can do and I have them. So look up for synergies. So yeah, that's it. Sorry, now I have to clap again.
So now is the time for few questions. So if you have any questions, Alexa, then please ask.
So first thing, is it easy to get to schools in different countries? Is it, okay. Yeah, how to get to schools is the first thing. And the second thing, do you have some group of educated trainers who do it in different countries and in different states?
Okay, so the questions were if it's easy to get into schools in Germany or in all countries?
Well, you can do it
Both,
in Germany.
right? Okay. And the second question was if we have like people who are trained to do that, exactly. So is it easy to get into schools? I feel like it's definitely a road, like it's a rocky road. When we started, I think like 3 years ago, obviously it was hard, but it developed. So now actually schools are reaching out to us. They're like, hey, do you want to come cook for us? Like introduce the children to vegan food. So that's amazing, but I remember that we did have a hard time, so you can just identify all the different opportunities. So it doesn't always just have to be you approaching the school. You can also like find your way, maybe you know a teacher or a parent, you know, they can talk to it's all about networking, you know? So there's many different forms, and I know it's probably different from country to country, but then again, it's about people, so it's probably not all too different. That would just be my intuitive answer right now. And if we have educated people who do that, we actually do. So I used to be a cooking, how do we actually say, a cook probably just, but yeah, I used to be that. And we have like 5 people across Germany, for example, that do that. So they will just get the request, and they went through a training with us, like on what kind of message are we spreading, and basically they have like some kind of background in how to cook, obviously, and how to like work with children. So yeah, we do.
Haven't you had any negative attitude from parents or from teachers? Because that may be, like, no, my children know it, just me, no, vegan food.
So the question was negative comments from teachers and parents. That question always comes, and why? Because it's so important and it's so common. So what we try to do is, so to answer your questions first, obviously, we have that. Like, for example, I remember, especially with smaller children, like we try to have like such a kind message, right? So we will not say something like, eating it is bad or so, but still some children go home and they're like, I'm not gonna eat that anymore. And then obviously parents are going to be like, thank you, you know? So it is kind of hard, so you can't avoid it completely. I guess, like I said, we haven't developed a program yet for teachers or pupils, but what we try to do is just give out as many information as possible that they can look at. So we have like little flyers, leaflets, or like timetables for the children to take home with where they can put their classes in. There's just some nice information on there, and then when the parents see that, you know, usually takes the scare away. But yeah, if anybody has like good strategies in doing that, I'm so happy to hear about that. So always happy to learn. Yeah. Did that answer the question? All right, great. Anybody else? You can just also come up here and maybe take my card if you want to write me an email at some point in the future and just be like, I need help, you know, or I want to become a member of that like network thing you talked about. Just let me know, and I promise you, very, very soon you're going to see it everywhere. The network, no, probably not, but I try. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, and yeah, thank you.